Let's talk about Spidey Divided Part 2. We start the issue off with Spider-Man riding his Spider-Bot all the way through New York stopping crime. But Spider-Man is destroying everything in New York constantly, and Peter is unable to do anything but just watch. Meanwhile, Spider-Man is off meeting celebrities, going on talk shows, and even getting some brand deals, along with forming his own transportation app, and this is kind of like the last straw for Peter. So Peter manages to actually meet up with Spidey, but when Spidey doesn't want to talk to Peter, he just tries to web off, but Peter actually webs onto his leg and swings alongside him until they actually land on a building. Once the two finally land, Peter tries to talk some sense into Spider-Man, saying that he's causing way too much destruction all around New York, but Spider-Man kind of retorts that it's bound to happen no matter what, and that he's not one to talk because Peter's a mess. But Peter shoots back, telling Spider-Man that Uncle Ben would have never wanted any of this, and Spider-Man has no idea who he's talking about, so he just webs him up and he leaves. And a little bit later, Peter actually finds out from Doc Connors that if they're separated for too long, they can actually die off, so they need to get back together soon. So Peter makes a few calls and manages to actually move the machine so he can make a plan and actually use it on himself and Spidey. But when Peter gets ready to use it on Spidey and himself, a giant robot army kind of flies over them. So the two try to outrun the Sentinel army as fast as possible, but one of the robots actually ends up shooting a beam at Peter and Spidey, so Peter kind of knocks Spidey out of the way to save his life and gets fatally wounded. And when Peter asks, while dying, to Spidey if he feels any sense of responsibility after this, Spidey just says, nah, and then Peter just shoots a web at the machine, causing a huge blast of energy to hit the both of them, allowing them to merge back together as one. And out of this, Spider-Man jumps onto his Spider-Bot, hacks all of the remaining Sentinels, and watches them all crash into their control center, saving the day and being whole again.